Welcome to Inside Albania with me, Alice Taylor. This week, I will look at the results of a survey that suggests the UK could be set for another influx of Albanian migrants this year. And I'll be joined by two Brits who've done the opposite, swapping the UK for Albania. I will also cover recent changes to media laws regarding sexism, the continuing freefall of the euro, the arrest of a former mayor, and Prime Minister Edi Rama's surprise foray into international diplomacy. Another week and another story from the UK about Albanian migrants. This week, Home Secretary Suella Braverman, infamous for calling Albanians criminals, was handed a survey by the British Embassy in Tirana that found that 50% of surveyed youth in Kuksi, North Albania, still want to go to the UK. 2022 saw 13,000 Albanians make the journey across the Channel via people smugglers, with 85% applying for asylum once they arrived. They accounted for 30% of all crossings, something which caused outrage in the British media and Parliament and was swiftly weaponised by the ruling Conservatives, mainly for national political gain, but sadly at the expense of an entire nation. Now, British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and Braverman hailed a huge drop in small boat crossings this year, putting it down to their new policies, rather than the more obvious fact that it was due to terrible weather. Now, the thought of getting in a little dinghy is scary enough without having to factor in the torrential rain and icy wind of the British winter. But despite their efforts, including a very expensive British taxpayer-funded ad campaign on Albanian social media, youth do not seem to have been put off. Albanian Prime Minister Edi Rama, who has very little time for the comments coming out of Downing Street, clapped back this week, accusing the government of spinning the drama over Albanian migrants. Now, the Home Office has intensified its crackdown on Albanians in the last 2 months, setting up a 400-strong unit to fast-track nearly 17,000 asylum applications and raising the bar for those applying for asylum or claiming they're victims of modern slavery. Ministers are also targeting as many as 20,000 more Albanians who entered the UK illegally and did not apply for asylum, although they admit that 70 to 80% may have absconded from their immigration bail. Furthermore, the British government has lost around 200 Albanian children from asylum hotels it set up around the country, admitting it doesn't know where they are. Now, as well as putting asylum seekers up in hotels, the government announced it will house some 1,000 on boats. Let's just hope they don't lose any of them from there. Last but not least, according to data from Instat, 46,460 Albanians left the country last year, equivalent to 5.3 people every hour, with most not returning. A census currently scheduled for September this year will likely shed more light on the issue. Now, from Albanians leaving for the UK and elsewhere, to Brits and other foreigners coming to Albania. As you may know, I was born in the UK, but in a desperate search for sun, good food, and friendlier people, I decided to leave, spending 10 years in Malta and then some time in Cyprus before coming to Albania for a 3-day holiday. 6 years later, I'm still here, have no intention of ever leaving, and I'm proud to call this country my home. At the end of June, I'm set to take the Albanian language exam as a part of my citizenship application. But as per amendments to the citizenship law tabled by the government, foreign residents with Albanian children, such as myself, would not be required to take the language exam. While there are no public plans to remove the requirement to speak Albanian completely from other citizenship application paths, it has opened up a conversation on whether new citizens should speak the language, and if so, to what level. I took to Twitter this week for my highly scientific poll to ask my followers for their views. I asked, do you think foreigners who want to acquire Albanian citizenship should be required to pass an Albanian language exam as a part of the process? Out of 571 votes, 75% said yes, 20% said no, and 5% were undecided. Sot kam Richard Russell, pronua një kompanie të reklama digital në Tirana nga Squadses dhe Carolyn Perry nga The Midlands që punon në histori, arsim dhe kultur dhe tani jeton në Durrësi. Të du janë resident afër gjatë në Shqipëri që duan të aplikojnë në shpejti për një pasaport shqiptar. Përshëndetje të dyja dhe mirë se erdhët në emisioni. Hello, Carolyn, welcome. And Richard is joining us today online. So as we've just heard, Albanians are all going to the UK, and here we are, Brits, trying to get Albanian passports. Richard, ju jeni në aeroportin e Tiranës dhe po fluturoni në Britani e Madh sot. Po çfarë ju soli në Shqipëri? Pse u pëlqen dhe pse dëshironi pasaport shqiptar?
Përshëndetje Alice. So hera parë që erdhe një Shqipëria ishte pak a shumë 6 vit më parë, edhe ishte për punë. Punova tek një call center, por kishte një kontrakt vetëm për 6 muaj. Kur ishte tek punë, takova Olta. Oltan është gruaja ime tani, edhe ne jetojmë bashkë në Tiranë, ne kemi një gocë që është vetëm 8 muaj tani. Edhe për ne ne kishëm dy mundësi faktikisht, dy mundësi. Një ishte të jetojmë në Tiranë bashkë, apo të shkojmë tek Shkotësia. Edhe për ne, Tiranë edhe Shqipëria është shumë më mirë se Shkotësia edhe se Angli. Ishëm të Colchester në Angli për 6 muaj, por nuk ishte për ne. Ishte shumë e keq për ne. Për ne Shqipëria është më mirë, Olta edhe unë mendojmë bashkë që është më mirë për gocën e Tiranë, është më mirë për ne jemi më lumtur në Tiranë. Edhe faktikisht 100% që do lloj në jetin tonë është më mirë në Tiranë se në Shkotësi apo në Angli. Shqip është pak vështirë, 100% është pak vështirë, por për mua është rëndësishme që unë flas shqip çdo ditë. Edhe unë përpiqem të mësoj 2-3 fjalë të reja çdo ditë. Edhe të mos ke turp kur ti bën një gabim kur ti flet në shqip. Është shumë rëndësishme. Por është vështirë, por çdo ditë mëson pak më shumë edhe do të jetë mirë. Kaq.
Carolyn, what brought you to Albania, and what is it that makes you want to apply for Albanian citizenship?
Well, I first came to Albania a long time ago, 2008. I was bringing tourists here, doing cultural tours, because the thing that had first attracted me was the astonishingly rich history and culture of Albania and the wonderful archaeological sites. So as soon as I came, I fell in love with the country and kept coming back and kept bringing tour groups. And then I met an Albanian man in the UK, so that was it. So I moved here over 5 years ago, and I'm hoping to apply for citizenship.
And I mean, do you ever miss the UK, or is Albania home for you now?
Albania is absolutely home for me. I do miss my family and some of my friends, but luckily lots of them come and visit me. And I have to say that my diary is getting more and more full because more and more people are discovering Albania and wanting to come and visit. So yes, there is absolutely nothing that I miss about the UK, surprisingly.
You are learning Albanian. How are you finding it? Is it a difficult language? And when it comes to the citizenship issue, do you think there should be a requirement to be able to speak Albanian, and to what sort of level?
So I am learning Albanian. Actually, I first started in the UK doing an evening class. It's not easy to find Albanian language classes in the UK, but UCL offer one. So I tried that, and that was 2 hours a week, and I thought, gosh, this is hard. And I thought, when I get to Albania, it'll be so much easier because I'll be totally immersed in it. But of course, my partner speaks English. And lots of people, when they hear that I'm a beginner, they also revert to English. Or because I live in Durrës, I get a lot of people speaking to me in Italian, and I speak Italian. So then my brain is very confused. It is a difficult language to learn, but it's a rewarding language to learn. And especially when you go out of the big towns, you really actually need to be able to have some level of it. As far as the citizenship requirement is concerned, I mean, that's quite a complex question because there are always going to be exceptions. But I'm very happy that it's part of the requirement, to be honest, because when you go and move to a country, you really need to sort of immerse yourself in that country to learn the culture, and the language obviously is part of that. So on a practical level, but also on a cultural level, and just for making friends. I think it's really important.
Now, Carolyn, a slightly tougher question. As you heard earlier, we were talking about the migration crisis between Albania and the UK, and some of the pretty harsh words that have come from the British government and politicians regarding Albania and Albanians, generalizations and other things. As somebody who has been in Albania for a very long time, you have your partner is Albanian, you have strong ties here, you want to apply for citizenship. How do you feel when you hear these things being said in public discourse in the UK?
I think the kindest word I can say about it is unhelpful, but actually I think it's quite harmful to the Albanian community in the UK, many of which are very hardworking, or most of which actually are very, very hardworking and make a huge contribution to the UK in many different ways. I mean, I'm a member of the Anglo-Albanian Association, and we're a mixed group. We have, as the name implies, we have British people, we have Albanian people, we have people from other parts of the world who come together to celebrate Albanian history and culture. And there are lots of Albanians within this association who really are in really important jobs or providing services, etc. I find it very difficult when I hear that these words are applied to the Albanian diaspora in England, or Albanians who are actually now British citizens and their children. I've heard cases of children being bullied in the playground because of it. It is disappointing. There are lots of stereotypes which we need to continue to counter, and I think the culture and richness of Albania itself and the fact that it's becoming more known is really helping that. But still, when I have my groups come here from the UK, not only the UK, we have lots of citizens from America and Australia in my groups, and they say to me, I told people I was coming to Albania, and they said, why? And, we have jokes about car washing and things like that. And yes, it's a stereotype, and unfortunately, it's persisting at the moment, but there are things we can do about it. We have to spread the word and let everybody know what a wonderful country Albania is.
I think people like yourself and me and Richard have an important role in sort of spreading the word amongst our family and friends.